I just returned from Israel a few days ago, where I had many opportunities to interview various people. And this one is a candid, unedited conversation with an IDF reservist, sharing with us the challenges of being a father, being a husband, being a contributor to the Israeli workforce, and how everything is shifting because of the war. So I hope you enjoy this little glimpse, this little behind the scene of a day in the life of an IDF reservist. Shalom, everybody. This is Olivier with Shalom and Messiah, and I am talking to you from Israel. We're in Upper Galilee at our house where we do our ministry, and I had an opportunity today to have a conversation with my friend Aviram, who serves in the IDF, and I'm just going to have a few questions to ask him. So Aviram, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Now, can you tell us in what capacity you serve?
So I'm a reservist. I hold the rank of a major, and I serve as a fire control officer for a unit. So for the Israeli military, it means being in charge of direct and indirect fire efforts and coordinating strikes with the Air Force for the benefit of the unit or combat mission.
Okay. And now you've been in Israel for, were you born here?
No, my family made Aliyah in the 90s from the Soviet Union. I was about 3 years old when we came over, but my sister was born here. And yeah, so I've been here for 30 something years.
Okay. And you've served, you've been serving in some capacity in the IDF for how long now?
So the typical service in Israel, which a path I loosely followed, you enlist to regular army around 18 when you finish high school. I enlisted in November 2005, slightly after Israel went out of Gaza. So I saw that as a young adult or teenager. I was lucky enough to join the military after that, so I didn't experience the difficulty that many of the soldiers had when evacuating their peers or their friends from Gaza and everything that entailed. And towards the end of my training, Second Lebanon started. So again, because I was in training, I also witnessed that somewhat from the sidelines. Lost a few bodies there, but myself, I was relatively safe during that period of time. Towards the end of my service, I was sent to officer school. So that extended my service by another year and a half, more or less. So after serving almost 5 years, I went to my civilian life, started studying towards my engineering degree. And in Israel, depending on your rank and position, you are required to do reserve service until the age of more or less 45 to 50 something. The laws are changing right now because of the war and everything. So right now I'm in reserve service, and since the start of the war, which was a little bit less than 2 years ago, I've spent more than a year in uniform.
More than a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
And when you're not in uniform, you work as an engineer?
Yeah, I do. I lead a product team, or it's a pre-sales engineering team for a renewable energy company that sells equipment in Israel. That's...
How is the war affecting, with the amount of reservists that we're seeing going into Gaza, into Lebanon, into Syria, or even in Judea, Samaria? How is that affecting the economy and people not being able to do their jobs, like you said, a year out of almost 2 years? How is that affecting the economy? Of course, it has to be.
Well, for sure. So. Today the situation is a little bit different because we're in a little bit of a limbo state. It's not very clear where our government wants to take the campaign next. There are different voices being raised by the public. But to get a perspective, let's jump to October 8th. And not October 8th, let's quickly scroll fast forward 2 weeks when the whole system was stabilized and people understood more or less what's going on. So on October 20-something, there was a news article published in Ynet that said that there are 420,000 reservists in active service at the moment, on top of the regular army. Israel's population is roughly 10 million people. And that's quite a significant percentage if you account for the fact that all of these are working age males and some females that are in normal day-to-day life are actively contributing to the society. So it's not underage kids that are only a burden on society. It's not older people who are already on their pension and enjoying their free time. It's active workforce.
Like what, 4.5% of the population?
Yes, but it's of the total population. Right. And if you take account for the fact that about 20% of the population are in pension and about 30 or sometimes even 50, depends on the state, percent of the population, I'm not clear on the numbers right now, are underage, like below 18 aged people or kids. So that turns that percentage of active workforce to almost 20.
20%. So that would be 70 million U.S. citizens. To give you an idea.
If you go to citizens, yeah, but if you go to 5%, it's like more like, so if the U.S. population is 300 million, so it's like more in terms of 15 million of total population, but of work, if we're talking of workforce, right? So the comparison, if you want to do a population comparison,
so people don't realize, they go like, well, that's not that big of a number, but Israel is not a very big country, but you have to give some perspective. When people, when you put the perspective of 1,200 people who died when Hamas came through the border and murdered everybody, that was like 55,000 people in the U.S., I think.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that. So going back to the economy, how does that affect the economy?
So it's an interesting question because you can look at the economy from different angles. So funnily enough, the Israeli stock market is performing really well. And most of us think it's because of the removal of the Iranian threat.
Okay.
So the Israeli market had a premium because everybody were afraid of Iran. And today that Iran isn't there, or is not that big of a threat as we thought it was before, and Hezbollah is not such a threat anymore. It's still a threat. It's still not fully dismantled.
It's a different level.
Yeah, it's a much lower level at this moment. So the Israeli market is considered to be more safe. So there are more investments. So the stock market is doing relatively well. It's all green. On the other hand, let's look at this from the perspectives of regular folks or small business
manpower.
owners.
And that's what I was thinking when I asked you the question. The manpower, people not doing their jobs and in the fields and getting the fruit and vegetables or construction.
So, let's look at this from my employer's point of view. Out of the last 2 years, I started my employment at the current workplace in May 2023. Most of the time I haven't been at work. I was at war. Then when I came back from war, you get back the next day and it takes you a little while to adjust. You need to learn again everything. The first deployment was almost half a year straight. So I vanished. October 7th in the morning, I vanished from work. It was Shabbat, so they didn't know. But I didn't answer my phone from Sunday or operational security, whatever. It took me a couple of days just to tell them, oh yeah, guys, I'm gone. And there is no clarity on when you're coming back. So as a business owner or as a business, you cannot plan. As a company, you cannot plan what's going to happen. How much manpower do you need? In the most crucial part of a strategic deal or a process, you can suddenly get called up. So when the campaign in Lebanon happened, I think that was October, I was called out of bed and told me, get to base ASAP. And initially it was like, okay, come today, go back in the evening at home, and at the weekend come back. And then they said, okay, you're getting to base and you're staying on base. And we stuck there for about a month until the majority of the campaign was over. And again, that was the weekend. So the company, let's call it, went to sleep for the weekend, woke up on Sunday morning, and I'm gone.
And there were more than just you gone from the company, I'm sure.
So it depends. Yeah. So none of us serve in the same place within the company. So that helps. But again, many others were gone, and businesses that are trying to help younger people or trying to help them make their first steps in business life are normally the people who are hurt the most, because the younger people are normally the ones who are getting called the most. Like the older you get, the less you
Right.
serve, because you're sick, you get whatever. And that's really complicated. And think of it from the point of view of a business owner. Let's say you're a plumber and you had the schedule for the next couple of days sorted out for you, and then you need to cancel all your visits. Sometimes you need to pay back the customers because you canceled the visit too late, and that's the local state law. And your whole business is your reputation. You've been gone for half a year, maybe a year. You haven't been a 10-year business. You don't have any customers, and then you say, "I'm back," but they found a new plumber that can take care of their needs, or a new baker, or a new whatever. Think about it that you're a very small shop owner. So you have a shop, and let's say you're a baker. So you're the guy who makes the dough. You're the guy who sells the bread. Maybe you have 1 or 2 employees. You're gone. Nobody can replace you. You don't have a means to pay a rent for the business. Your machines are going rusty. Nobody serves them because you simply haven't been there. We have a guy like that at our unit, and he lost several tens of thousands of dollars in equipment, in rent, and everything was foreclosed on him. And he came back from war, and he answered the call of his nation. It makes sense to us, right? It's like a higher calling, and he comes back and to nothing. Everything's ruined, and he owes the bank money that he loaned to start a business in a prosperous country.
Is there help from the government when you go serve as a reservist? I don't want to get too political. I'm just curious.
It's not about politics at all. So the way it works is that our Social Security pays back the employer your salary while you're in reserve. Normally they do that when you finish your service. So I was gone for half a year. It took the government about 4 months to start paying retroactively, because officially they would have started paying only after I finished my service.
Okay.
So my employer has been paying me for several months in the beginning from their own pocket without getting that paid back by the government. The second thing is that the government pays back the employer only your salary. So if you have benefits, let's say insurance, car, or stuff like that, that's not covered by the Social Security. So in some workplaces they say, okay, so sorry, we cannot afford keeping all of those benefits for you, so we're stripping them away while you're on reserve. Again, I've been blessed with a very kind employer that said, okay, that's yours, we're not touching it. And we even had a case where one of the guys, because he didn't have a job before that, so he wasn't working for a couple of months, he wasn't paid back by the government enough, and the company paid him retroactively the missing part. Like they took the job of the government and paid him his full salary, even though you technically didn't deserve it fully, which is very nice of them. But if you're a small business owner, the way it works is that they will take the average of your income for the past year, and then they will calculate how many days you were gone, how much you've missed, and then they'll
Prorate it.
Yeah, and it requires you to finish the year first, but you don't have any money. Then it counts your previous year, and if your business was growing, then you're screwed. And what happens if it's the second year of war? We're in the second year. Yes. Well, technically we're in the third fiscal year of a war. So it's the third fiscal year with very bad numbers for business owners, and they say, like, I don't have history because I didn't have an opportunity to run my business throughout those years, and it's wartime economy. So I think that while bureaucracy is a great tool to try and even the playground for everybody, in this case it creates many difficulties. So they try to go around it by paying different funds or adding some funds to cover home expenses. For example, when I'm gone, there are more expenses to take care of the kids, or even to walk the dog, or whatever, or to clean the house. Tasks that normally I would do. But
How's that handled? The wives of many of the reservists are left alone with kids, and is there some kind of an infrastructure help for the wives and the mates that are left behind?
I think there are many efforts. I don't think there is a good enough infrastructure. In the beginning, there was more support because it was easier. So let's say October, November, December of 2023. As time passed by, so slightly sidetrack. I live in a community in the West Bank, and most of our population are, we call them the Tim Lomim. So they're religious people with not a black kippah, a woven kippah. So they're somewhat, you can loosely translate as nationalist religious people. So military service is very important for them. On October 8th, the average male age in our community was 55, because all men between 18 to 50 were gone to war.
Gone to war.
So I serve on my emergency response team with the community. October 7th in the evening, we were like only 4 guys below 50, and October 8th, everybody were 50 and above. Because everyone else were gone to war because of their jobs in the military, or positions in the military. So in the beginning, there was a lot of support between the wives, and who had more support from the family, they would help each other and stuff like that. Today, it's such a common thing that everybody are already feeling the repercussions of that happening. So it's therapy with the kids, it's family therapy.
Is the government picking up some of the cost of that, or is it you're on your own?
So the government is, but it's a fraction of the cost.
Usually is, yeah.
And I think it's also very difficult to put the price on everything. Like you want to, but what price do you put on a person willing to give up his life for others, right? So it's never enough, even if, let's say, we talk about American veterans.
Right.
So, not to hijack the conversation, but there is a significant suicide problem with veterans in the States. Mm-hmm. So you can ask yourself, okay, how much am I as a society need to help that person who was willing to give his everything for my safety,
right?
Or
for your freedom, yeah.
Yeah, for my freedom, and you cannot really put a number to it.
No.
And when you start
Agreed.
trying to put numbers to it, then you will never end with a real number. So for a government, for a bureaucratic entity, it's very difficult to say. And then they say, oh, we've given him more and him less. So they try to find
right.
some
common ground,
some weird
level,
laws or formulas to say, and it's difficult. First of all, it's never going to be enough, because the damages that we've seen are, we're just scratching the surface. So we've just started experiencing suicides by veterans because they simply cannot get back from the battlefield. I think that some people are avoiding therapy because they still can go and find units to help out and serve, and they're running away from their families and running away from their real lives.
And ignoring the problem in some ways.
Yeah, so for now you can ignore it. At a certain point in time, you will not be able to ignore it anymore. So we'll have some form of peace, and all of those people will be forced to sit at home on their hands and start figuring out like what's wrong with me. And this is going to be a very, very difficult point in time. And the second thing is kids. So my second born, he finished like one level of kindergarten for us. So we have a very little kids kindergarten until the age of 3, and from 3 and higher up, it's public education. So it's a different set of kindergartens. And normally by the end of the age of 3, all of them are potty trained and don't have the pacifier anymore.
Right.
That's the typical stage here,
right,
for us. So when my kid turned 3.5 and went to a regular kindergarten, very few of his peers were potty trained, and most of them had pacifiers. Many of them still have pacifiers to this day. They're already 5.5 years old.
Wow.
And that's because their fathers weren't there for the past 2 years. it does something to a kid.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
we only know how it looks right now, but how it's going to look in 5 years, in 6 years, in
It's going to have some long-term effects. Well, you don't know yet.
maybe.
Yeah.
But again, you asked how the government supports that.
Right.
The government cannot say, okay, we're going to support everybody forever for good,
No,
right?
no.
It needs to put somewhere an end to it. Okay, let's go back to my example. I was building a house in the West Bank and
You mean Judea, Samaria?
yes, sir.
Yeah. Why do you call it the West Bank?
I don't know. I think it's the easiest translation to English. I live in Hebrew. I say Samaria.
Not to my audience.
Okay, sure. So I was building a house in Samaria, and the common construction force or labor was Palestinians, and we almost finished building the house, and I had about $15,000 left in payments to my contractor to complete the whole house and to submit it for a permit so we can live in the house. Since then, we're not allowing Palestinians into our community. The decision has spiked many debates. You can be for it, you can love them, you can hate them, whatever. This is the situation. And when you go to, let's say, a Jewish contractor or an Israeli contractor and tell them, okay, this is the work that's left to do. Can you give me a quote on that? The quotes I've landed are in the $100,000 to $120,000 to finish a work that was supposed to cost me $15,000 with the contractor. It was probably going to hike it to 20, 25.
Because of the unavailability of cheaper labor.
Because of the unavailability of labor. So October 7th, when October 7th happened, the access to about 180,000 Palestinian workers ceased to exist. So on October 7th,
when you say ceased to exist, that they were no longer available.
On October 7th, on that Shabbat, there were 4,000 Gazan workers living in Israel, staying Shabbat in Israel because they had to work Sunday. And we gave them permits that allowed them to stay over Shabbat. On daily basis, 180,000 Palestinian workers from Samaria and Judea would come into Israel, be that Tel Aviv or communities in Judea and Samaria, Balkan, Ma'ale Adumim, huge industrial areas, and work there. And we told them, no more. We're at war. You cannot come in. Like the trust, the little
Sure,
the
of course,
trust
that's a big issue. You know.
and that's what was broken. So basically, when we condemn whatever Israel is doing, is like, wait, like to what do you want us to go back? Like, how can we trust a regime that wants to kill us? Like, how can we trust? Like, how can I trust a person that voted in a regime that claims that I don't have a right to exist, and they will do whatever means possible?
Anybody who doesn't understand that, you have to understand something. This would be identical to saying you have a Jewish family in Germany who has a maid who is the wife of a Nazi officer, and the Jewish family realizes that their maid, who's doing a decent job, is married to a Nazi officer. And then you have an issue. Are you going to keep her, or is she going to give away the family who's going to end up in Auschwitz and die?
That's more or less of a comparison you can make. And that creates a difficulty. So now, for me personally, right, it's not only the strain of war, so being able to return to a new normal with whatever happened and that. It's not only about learning again, like after not being a whole year at home, learning again to be a father and a husband and stuff like that. I personally feel like I need to do more to prove myself at work, because some of my peers didn't go to war. They've been working throughout the whole thing. They've mastered new things that I haven't heard about yet. So there's that added pressure. And again, for me personally, and I'm not the only one, there are probably tens of thousands of people in situations similar to me. So my example is a house. Others' example would be a business or other obligations they have. I have a house that isn't done building, so we do live in it, but it has its problems with it, so I don't have a stable electrical connection yet, and somehow I need to figure out how to raise extra several tens of thousands of dollars to fix that thing. So we'll finally have a house in which we can start living. And that's not including all the damages that were done because we stopped in the middle of production. So, Earth moves, it cascades through life.
And you're just one person.
Yes. But I think it's a decent example. So, for example, in the middle of the war, one of our cars was rammed in by someone else. Insurance decided they're not paying it off because it was hers version. So all of a sudden, okay, I need to buy a new car. I don't have time to do that because I'm in Gaza. We somehow managed that, right? So it adds all those complications to life, which I didn't plan on having. I don't think anybody did.
No.
Right? And let's not forget that the mortgage rates spiked higher right before the war because of the global economic issue, and the war reduced our rating. So the mortgage rates spiked a little bit higher. So everybody who has a mortgage are spending even more money on paying back their mortgage on their houses than before. It applies to me, but it applies to so many other people.
Right.
And actually what you can see today is that people are selling apartments in different cities with a significant loss on them because they need the money now to save the rest of the businesses or the rest of the family, and they're giving up the extra apartment they bought, let's say in Beersheba or somewhere they didn't plan to live, but they planned to rent it out.
Right.
And they said, the economy doesn't make sense, and they're selling the apartment at an actual loss, not an economic loss.
Before they lose everything.
Because every month they're incapable of making payments. Now think about, let's say, a student that pays a rent on an apartment in which he spent less than half a year out of the whole year he's been living there. Again, this difficulty cascades throughout a significant part of society.
Yeah.
And the most, or one of the things that hurts a lot about it is that this thing hurts the most contributing members of society. So normally the people you meet in reserve service all of them are doing something exceptional. All of them are doing something crazy. None of them are like, oh, I had no job, I had nothing to do, so I came here to do this.
Might as well serve because it's crippling the economy.
Yeah. So, for example, my commander in the military, like the guy who's in charge of me professionally, he's one of the leading lawyers in business mergers and acquisitions and intellectual property in the Israeli high tech. Impressive. He's extremely talented, extremely good at what he does, but every time he's been taken out of his cases, so his cases are being transferred to someone else, he returns to work and he cannot really fully take on a new case because he doesn't know when he needs to go back again.
Right.
And he doesn't have any work in between. So they say, you either deliver or you don't come here.
Yeah.
And
so it's creating problems at all levels of society and all. Now I wanted to talk about another aspect because that's the reason why we the ministry and other ministries that we partner with. That's the reason why we come here on a regular basis. Speak for a minute or two on the issue with supplies and how the reservists are struggling to get the right equipment.
Okay, so I guess the first question that we need to answer bluntly is, why do we need external help? And I think that the proud answer would be, we'll figure it out. We don't need anybody's help. There is a thing that's going on right now that Germany wants to put an embargo on Israel. And it's a good reminder that in Yom Kippur War, Europe's embargo was so bad on us that the Americans' planes had to land in between not Spain, at Portugal, to refuel on their way to Israel because the Europeans wouldn't allow them to pass over them to resupply Israel. So I think we got too comfortable with the fact that let's say the Gentiles or everybody likes us and we're part of of the new society or whatever. And we need to go to the basic understanding of, yeah, there are spiritual reasons to that, but basically the world hates us, hated us before that, and they're going to continue hating us. While having said that, from a very simple and very direct perspective, the military is a very big corporate entity. Mm-hmm. It takes time to move things around. There are priorities. There are things that are more important. There are things that need to happen before they happen somewhere else. There is a hierarchy. There are people who are more in favor and less in favor. And our military has been under a 20-year process of shrinking down and becoming small and, let's call it, effective.
More effective, yeah. Streamlined.
It didn't become effective, but it became smaller. On October 8th, Israel didn't have enough guns to give to all the people that came to reserve service. The basic requirement from a soldier to carry a weapon didn't exist.
Wow.
We needed to take some rifles out of so deep storage that it took like a couple of weeks to get them out of it. We didn't plan for that scenario. Today it's different, but I think some of your audience are business owners. The military had to size itself up 10 times, and the military isn't, and we're not in high-tech. Yeah, it's not just, okay, so we take another open space, put a chair, put a table, give him a laptop, and it works. That's hard to do. But think about the military. You need to buy tanks. Tanks need engines. We weren't allowed to buy engines in the beginning of the war because we had an embargo. Now, a German company that supplies us with engines and transmissions is under German embargo, so it's news from this morning, they want to move their production to the States so they'll be able to continue supplying us with engines. My unit burned down 2 engines because of the embargo. We ran the engines into the ground until they burned, literally burned, like we had to take out the fire. Awesome thing, by the way. Yeah, it's an experience. You cannot buy any ammunition in Israel because all the ammunition is spent in the war. We started buying, instead of normally supplying Europe with ammunition, we're starting buying ammunition from Europe. Ukraine uses the same NATO ammunition as we do, so there is now fight for it. The prices are hiking.
Of course, there's demand.
It creates more of the problem. And then, when the military looks at, let's say, a simple soldier, they say, oh, like it's we call it it's a throat. It's a throat that needs feeding and watering, right? It's a cost. Mm-hmm. And then it's very easy to say what a new airplane would help the Air Force to do, right? We saw that in Iran, very nicely, very beautifully done. When you go to, let's say, soldier weapon systems, it's very hard to put the benefit of an added scope, an added night vision, or an added something. So from our perspective, it's very easy to say, hey, if I'm going to get that piece of kit, it's going to help me save lives, it's going to help me do my job better, whatever, right? Some of them are defensive, some of them are offensive. Maybe with better, like, we all know that, yeah, more money buys you a better computer, buys you a better drone. So in our terms, buys you a better scope, buys you better night vision, buys you better shoes, boots, allows you to say, okay, I have the backing that I don't need to care of that. I can finish my job. And if it breaks, maybe somebody will help me out with that. And all of that creates new capabilities for us. So just an example, before I went into Gaza, we retrofitted all our tanks with small surveillance cameras all around the tank. And that helped us actively prevent IEDs being stuck on the tanks. So the driver can identify threats 360 degrees around them and see that. The military picked up the pace, but to provide a good enough camera for all the tanks took them a while, took them several years only to start implementing that solution, because military work cycles are very long. We are very good at finding quick, cheap, easy solutions. Again, the military brought in really cool cameras, but we thought, hey, we can upgrade that to thermal, and it's even better at night, right? Or in the night situations.
I think you were talking about that last time I came, actually, if I remember.
So you saw our tanks, we discussed that.
Yeah.
Then we go into scopes. So the Israeli military is buying now thermal scopes for some of its sharpshooters or marksmen, as we might call them. It's not buying them quickly enough, and it's buying them only for regular military, not for all the reservists, because the regular military is about, according to Wikipedia, about 50,000 people, and all the reservists, as we said, are 400 and something thousand. So that puts me as a reservist, as an older reservist, at the end of the
List. At the bottom of the list.
Yeah, bottom of the list, or at the end of the food chain. So and everybody on the way takes a cut. So until it reaches us, we're not left with much. Again, it's the disease of any big industry, of any big entity. So Americans, how much do you trust your government to help you in case of need? It doesn't really work. So sure, the military is supposed to help me. The fact is that throughout history, reservists have been doing a lot of the work themselves. And right now, to get on par with our enemies, let's say Hezbollah in the north, they have more weapon systems or advanced weapon systems that we as reservists have, but we are being sent to fight them. So we will do our best to outmaneuver them and outgun them, but it would surely help if we do that with better equipment.
Right.
So and the other thing is, there are multiple ways you can spend money when you let's say you've decided to support someone, right? So there are multiple ways to support people. So you can take care of them having fun, which is important. You can buy them something that lasts for a little while and goes away. And the moment it goes away, they will tend to forget about you. But I think that the old saying of teach a man to fish, right? So giving the people the ability to fish, or giving the people a new ability, is something that's truly worth investing in if you're thinking of where you should put your money in. Mm-hmm. So not put it in, let's buy him.
Give us an example, if you have one.
So again, let's talk about our tanks. So our tanks, the cameras project was fully civilian. It's a project that saved lives, and today we maintain it ourselves. So some of the funds we bring from home, we bring from friends or family, we spend on rebuilding broken or shot cameras, because the enemy saw that we're using that and it really helps us to avoid their attacks. So they started trying to snipe those cameras. Let's say sights or night vision devices allows us to operate freely at night, see each other, prevent friendly fire, as one of the friends stated here earlier. It's not that we don't get them from the military, it just allows us to do more, because the amount we get is limited.
Never enough.
Yeah. Yeah, the military is... So there are different approaches to that, but for us, or my unit, we're trying to focus on things that create the most difference. It's not about everybody having a good time, it's about getting a new capability. So for example, we don't request all possible drones, right? We don't request the coolest drone possible. We picked a drone that logistically can be supported by the military. We just don't think that the military headcount for drones per unit is correct. Like, they're not giving us enough, so we can do what we want to do with it. So we get more drones. We get them into the military. The military can replace them if they're broken, or try to fix broken parts. But it gave us a significant higher capability that, again, saved multiple lives in our last deployment to Gaza. Like, we managed to avoid a very significant ambush. Did extensive work with them in Lebanon. The next drone system that we want to invest in is, again, we're incapable of using it in civilian life. Like, you need a crazy license to fly that thing around. We don't have anything to do with it in our real lives. And its sole purpose is to save lives by taking missions that were supposed to be manned, making them unmanned, driving going through very dangerous terrain. We're like, okay, the next thing we do is we want to save the lives of those 8 dudes in the military.
Right.
And so on and so on and so on. So all those examples. So for us, it's relatively easy because I have some experience in the defense sector, and I like technology. So these are the things I'm looking for. But
So the need, and I'm not. This is not a criticism of the Israeli government, but the need for supplies from outside sources, like what we do, the little bit that we do, it still exists. We can still help.
I think that there is always a place for help, and I do want to say it with a little bit of warning. You do want to make sure that you're giving to the right place.
Absolutely.
So
that's important.
What I see happening sometimes is that money is spent on places where there have been a lot spent, and that's why, again, it's important to have people you know that are doing.
Well, you have to establish trust.
Yes, but yes. So I think there are always people who misuse trust or do like not trustworthy things with it.
Right. That's everywhere. That's everywhere.
Yeah, but for example, let's take a look at you guys. You've like, for example, Keith has been visiting us through and through. He's been with us in multiple campaigns. You've seen us a couple of times. Like you've seen the tanks, you've seen the people, you've seen the systems. Mm-hmm. For example, the things that go to us aren't like, I've never received money. It's always equipment. It's always stuff, and there is like, why do you need it? Where does it go? Who's the person receiving it? When we're deployed, we invite you to come and see the person holding the piece of equipment that you've given. So for me, it's in my personal aim to establish that trust. That's important for me to do.
Right.
Like, you're not putting things that are hiding, like waiting in my closet for better times or whatever. It's things that are making an impact somewhere on the battlefield.
Right.
For me, right?
Right.
But
everybody's different, but no, I understand that. Well, there's one more thing I want to cover, and then I need to wrap up this interview. There's quite a few people in the United States, not only that, through our ministry and in Rock Harbor and Olive Tree, with this partnership, they look for ways that they can provide funds to us so we can help you with some of the supplies, and that's going to continue as long as it's needed. But a big component of this whole thing is prayer. And I know that you're a believer, you're a follower of Yeshua, and that's exciting to know that there are followers of Yeshua in the IDF, that they can make a difference, that they can share their hope and their faith with others. If I was to take back some prayer requests to our the rest of the team in the U.S., what would be a couple of prayer requests? You don't have to be precise, but anything you want to share.
Can I share a funny story?
With me, always.
Okay. So during the last deployment to Gaza, normally I'm supposed to act with another guy that's my second in commander, let's call it like that. So when I'm home, he's in charge, and so we can replace each other, or can do shifts. Like I do days, he does nights, and so forth. This round, he decided not to come. It's too difficult for him. He started a new job, whatever. And it's important to remember that reserve service, in the end, is voluntary. Like, cops aren't running around people and trying to pick up all the people that say, hey, I've had enough. I simply cannot come anymore. Right? So there are people for whom the strain is too big because they don't have enough of a support structure or enough of a faith in them to say, hey, this is more important than my personal life. Let's say the command element of my battalion, or the people that task around, know that I'm a believer. I walk with a fish patch on all of my equipment.
I saw that.
So so it's a good opportunity for ministry and to start a conversation about God. When our last deployment started, I served, like normally we would spend some days on base and then 1 or 2 days at home, because again, we're always serving near home, so it's very common for us to be home. And I've been on base the longest amongst everybody, I think almost a month or 3 weeks more or less. And then I said, I'm feeling really bad. I miss my wife, I miss my kids. I've had enough, I'm going home. Like, I said, okay, just come back sometime. And the guys around team said, okay, but who's gonna cover for you while you're gone? I said, well, during one of the operations, the unit's rabbi came in and he said, oh, what do you know? Maybe I'll replace you one day. And I said, you're more than welcome. And I said, well, the rabbi said he wants to replace me, so make sure he prays hard enough so you guys will be okay. I go home, they have an engagement, they get shot up, blown up, whatever, everybody's okay. And they said, you're missing all the action. And I came back and I said, well, look at this, guys. When I'm here, everything's cool, everything works. Maybe it's because I'm doing my job well, maybe it's because I'm praying that well. But the rabbi's prayers didn't help much.
So maybe he was not praying the right way.
Yeah, so that's always a good joke to tell around. And the funny thing that happened is that I went home and nobody told me when to get back. Everybody were afraid to talk with me because I was really in a bad situation, because I was torn apart between the need to be in the service and my kids needing me, my wife needing me. And I went home and then, well, we talked with Hagit, and I said, well, let's pray on that. So we sat on the sofa, we started praying, and we said, okay, we're not getting up until we get an answer when I need to go back to the military. And both of us here Monday morning. I go, okay, Monday morning, I'll drop off the kids at kindergarten. I start driving to the army. Me being me, I forgot to tell anybody about it. Like, I agreed on that with my wife. Monday morning, I drop off the kids, put all my gear in the car, take a huge cup of coffee, start driving. 15 minutes into the drive, one of the guys from command calls me, hey, where are you at? And I suppose, where do you want me to be? I said, well, I hear you're driving, just coordinate with our commander that you're coming in. I said, okay, I'm calling my commander, he's not answering. I get on base, I said, oh, you came, we need you, there's an up tonight. I go like, right, God told me to come. And he's not processing, and we cracked the joke a couple of times, but for him it was inconceivable that I sat at home on my sofa, I talked to my imaginary...
And asked God, when do I go?
Yeah, and when do I go? And that when coordinated perfectly with his needs, and nobody told me that. Like, there's no communication.
Did he eventually understand that?
He just skipped the topic. Like, I raised it on purpose a couple of times, and he skipped it at all, and it's just, yeah, you do you. We don't understand it, but
wow,
it's a funny story couple of funny stories that show the different opportunities we have to minister and to show
different perspectives.
Yeah, but it's the opportunities we have to share about our faith and show what it means to serve a living God. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So we pray. How can we pray then? We always pray for your safety, of course.
Well, I think that these are the natural things. So
we should pray for the wives and the kids too.
Let's start with the basics, right? We want wisdom for our leaders.
Yeah,
we're believers. We know that God's in control. We know that our leadership was put in place with God knowing what He's doing. Not necessarily that's the best of intentions, right? But He's in control. And we want our leadership to make the best decisions. And all in accordance with God's plan. I think that the situation that we have, we see true miracles happening. And I think that people don't always comprehend the miracle they've seen. So multiple occasions, an extremely awful event would be averted by luck. And the amount of luck we've had accounts to a miracle.
Right. And those are opportunities to share with those who don't.
And this is opportunities
God.
for people also to stop their lives and ask God if He's truly there. And I think that this is an opportunity. So this is also a very good prayer. I think that our society in Israel is in a bad spot. There's a lot of hatred, there are a lot of strong feelings, and there is war, everything's happening together. And I think we need a lot of healing. And we know that the only true healing comes through Christ or through God. We can cope with stuff, we can deal with stuff, but if we want healing, it's only in God.
Amen.
We know for a fact that there are some people that God has called, right? So I'm sure He's calling to many of those in these times. And as we hear people coming to Christ in extremely Muslim countries when they've never heard of Him, same happens in Israel. That's a fact. But we can pray for, I guess, bravery for those people to step forward and come meet their brothers in Christ throughout Israel. And lastly, we can say pray for the peace of Jerusalem, right? But when you dwell on it, when you meditate on that, it has such a deep meaning. Yeah, you can pray for our peace. You can pray for our wives, for our kids. The stuff I've shared about the difficulties my kids face, right? Me being gone, my kids stopped praying that God will kill all the bad guys just 2 weeks ago, or one of my kids prays about 2 times a week that I won't die in the war. I'm not in war. I'm here. I'm with you. The biggest threat to my life is texting and driving. This is what's the danger to me at the moment. And him, no, God, don't kill dad in the war. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, but.
Well, yeah, but you still, even though you might be serving and then being off for a little while, serving again, you still live in a country that is at war, and it is not necessarily a bad prayer, especially from a kid. I mean, they want to make sure that they're
in his mind, he's still in the war, and I'm still fighting. So when we pray for his peace, it has that many more layers to it, right? It's not just so he'll be safe. Right. It's about his psychology. It's about his mindset. And for me, for my kids, hey, it's an opportunity for him to meet God. I know God's knocking on his heart's door, so I would love God to meet him now, right? When he's 5 or 6, and not have that discussion much later. So all of these are opportunities, and obviously, again, you have people that are going through different troubles. Marriages falling apart, that's also peace, right? Businesses falling apart, that's also peace. People falling apart, right? People are literally falling apart psychologically, that's also peace. So when I say pray for the peace of Jerusalem, it has so many layers, and I'm sure that everyone in your audience can say, hey, if I would have went through such an extreme event, that would have put my business in a tight place, or maybe that would have put my relationship with my wife in a tight place. Maybe they're like me, that might have put their relationship with God in a tight place. I went to war, forgot about God. I was without God for many months. Not a good place to be.
Right.
It's like the most important tool in your toolbox. And each can take the thing that hurts them and pray for that, for us.
Okay. Well, those are good points for us to remember to pray. And I know my audience, and I want to thank you as you're watching this. I know that many of you pray regularly for our ministry. But friends, this is real. Here we are in Israel talking to Aviram, just one IDF soldier, reservist. Many, many more. Some of them are believers, some are not. Many, many reasons to pray, many different prayers you can pray. But thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your friendship. Aviram, thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
And I will continue to pray for your safety. And I'll see you again here in person real soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
God bless you.
Amen.